Assalamu alaikum. I'm Carl Arrindell and you're watching In Focus. Now, my esteemed guest today is Dr. Muhammad Tahir-ul-Qadri, the internationally renowned and respected Pakistani-Canadian Islamic scholar and politician. Now, he was formerly a professor of international constitutional law at the University of the Punjab and also the founding chairman of Minhaj al-Quran International. Shaykh Qadri has written more than 1,000 books and delivered more than 8,000 lectures on various topics, including radicalism. He's also received a first-class degree, a master's in Islamic studies and a PhD in Islamic law from the University of Punjab, where he worked as a lecturer and then as professor of law. Later this year, in August, he plans to launch an English edition of his recently published 8-volume Quranic Encyclopedia. Dr. Muhammad Tahir-ul-Qadri, assalamu alaikum and welcome to In Focus.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you.
Now, in January 2013, you called for a million-man march in protest against the government's corruption in Pakistan and to get rid of what you refer to as electoral dictatorship. Whilst it's estimated that the numbers attending the protests were probably nearer to 500,000, you did succeed in reaching an agreement with the government which was titled the Islamabad Long March Declaration and which promised electoral reforms and increased political transparency. Now, how significant was that declaration?
It's absolutely correct. I started this movement in December 2012, where I gave a constitutional agenda of political and electoral and social reforms, which was followed by that long march which you are talking about, which took place in January 2013. And it is correct that it was concluded on an agreement with the government of that time, the Prime Minister, and around 12 federal ministers, almost the whole cabinet along with the Prime Minister, they signed up the agreement. And that agreement was regarding a constitutional amendment and enforcing the electoral reforms which have already been given in the Constitution of Pakistan, but practically they were suspended. So these electoral reforms were agreed upon, but unfortunately that agreement was never practiced or enforced by the then government.
So are you saying this was an empty sentiment?
You can say from that side it was definitely, it proved to be an empty sentiment, but for the sake of a peaceful resolution of the issue, we agreed to that, and it was a great achievement that a constitutional agreement took place regarding the electoral reforms in order to eliminate the political culture of corruption in politics.
Now, I can understand that ambition, but clearly it didn't work because a year later you were back on the streets again and with another massive march. This time you seem to be coordinating with the PTI, that's the Imran Khan's party, the Tariq and Insaf. So it was yours, the PAT, the Pakistani Awami Tariq, and them marching at the same time. It was reported that while both marches took different routes, your parties shared similar objectives, although your strategies were slightly different. Now, you decided that your party would not participate in the subsequent elections, in the 2018 elections, and obviously Imran Khan went on to participate and to win those elections. Why was that? Why did you decide not to take part? And what was your response to Khan's victory?
As far as not participating in the subsequent elections, the reason was very obvious, that we believed, and everyone in Pakistan knew this fact, that the electoral system of Pakistan was not purified, and the corruption for which we were out for a long march, for which an constitutional agreement had taken place between the government and our participants of the march, that was never enforced by the government. Since the election and the whole electoral procedure and the electoral culture and all parameters in which the elections were taking place were corrupt in the same sense, in the same form as it used to be. So then there was no point of participation in the corrupt electoral system. We wanted a reform, electoral reforms. Only then we thought it would be beneficial to participate in the election.
Are you saying that Imran Khan was wrong to proceed?
No, I won't say this. Going for Long March together, it was just a coincidence. Our march was based on those brutalities and public massacre which took place in front of the headquarters of Minhaj al-Quran International and my house. I was in Canada and had not arrived yet in Pakistan. We were planning to mobilize the people, to create a public awareness and to struggle in a constitutional, lawful, political and democratic way to bring the people to this conclusion that unless this corruption, extreme corruption in our political culture and particularly in electoral process is reduced up to an extent which is bearable, no result of the election would be able to provide true democracy to the Pakistani people. So there was no concept of political democracy, neither the social democracy nor economic democracy. So since before my arrival, the then government, they all of a sudden attacked on our headquarters in our place and they killed our workers innocently when they were sleeping. They were armless, rather they were sleeping. They heard the news of this attack through TV channels and through telephone calls. So they arrived and protected the headquarters, and this whole operation took place for 12 hours. Since our people were, innocent people were murdered, armless people, they were murdered, and 100 people, they were brutally injured by the direct fires. So this was our protest was, and the government, then government, was not allowing to the FIR, the first information report, the case to be launched. So the police was refusing. We went to the district court, the districts and session judge ordered that the FIR of this incident to be registered since the government refused. Then we went to High Court ordered that this FIR should be registered so that the case takes place towards its judicial process. It was again refused. So our protest was for the sake of rule of law, so that the proper judicial investigation takes place and the culprits are being taken according to the law. So we went out for this protest, and it was a peaceful protest. Imran Khan and his party had another case regarding the electoral corruptions. They wanted certain constituencies to be reopened. So we started the whole procession at the same day, but basic objectives were different. But according to our overall agenda and thinking process, certain areas of commonalities did exist between us. We also wanted an electoral reforms. He was also fighting and struggling for electoral reforms.
Some of the statements and speeches you made over the time since definitely the election last year, it would appear that you seem to be endorsing Imran Khan's vision of the austerity and institutional reforms. You've also recognised his work towards peace in Afghanistan, which you felt it was vital that in order to help sustain peace in Pakistan. Now, a year on from his election, July, are you optimistic about the progress of his administration?
So I never issued these kind of statements during the whole electoral process, never. But this is a fact, we didn't participate in the elections for the sole reason that the whole electoral process was not going to be honest, fair and impartial. I knew it, and it was very clear and obvious. Secondly, we were just struggling for reforms. Since reforms had not taken place, that's why we refrained ourselves and we decided to continue for a peaceful democratic struggle to create an awareness for reforms. As far as the present government is concerned, I will opt not to comment on that, but the things have not changed. This is what I would say.
So the fundamental issues which you've been pursuing
the things have
are
not
still
changed.
the same.
Things have not changed. For example, we are more concerned to our Model Town massacre, our incident.
Yes.
Up till today, not a single responsible person is in jail.
Okay, that's true.
We have been fighting from place to place, but they are still powerful. The Pakistani law up till today and the system is not able to arrest the powerful people.
Look, after
the weak is weak and the powerful is powerful.
Yeah, after the election of PTI, you promptly declared, and I'm going to quote you, the responsibility of Imran Khan to provide justice to the victim families of Model Town incident, and hopefully Imran Khan will honour this commitment. Now, the Model Town massacre, as you've described it, or the Lahore clash, which is otherwise known as, took place on the 17th of June 2014 and resulted in several protesters being killed. As you said, hundreds were also injured outside your own residence in Lahore. Imran Khan, it's true to say, has taken steps to dismiss all of the officials involved in the killing. But the Lahore court has rejected your calls to summon the 12 parliamentarians, including the deposed Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and the former Punjab Chief Minister Shahbaz Sharif in the case. Very bold requests, it seems to me. You stated that justice, as you just said, is weak, still weak, as servants were summoned in the case and not their owners. Is this the end of the affair now, or do you have any plans to take the case to the Supreme Court?
Whatever the commitments were made at that time, we are yet waiting for their execution materialized. As far as the rejection of the petitions are concerned, that is not end of the story. At present, our 8 appeals are pending in Lahore High Court and Supreme Court. When the Lahore High Court didn't summon the Nawaz Sharif and Shahbaz Sharif, the then Prime Minister and then Chief Minister of Punjab, then I went to Supreme Court of Pakistan. We had an appeal, and I personally appeared before the Supreme Court, full bench of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, headed by the then Chief Justice of Pakistan.
But you weren't very well received at that Supreme Court. I think he referred to you as being arrogant and dismissive, I think, something like that.
No, our petition was accepted. Yeah. In the Supreme Court of Pakistan, my petition was accepted. And the Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan, the full bench, the larger bench, consisting of 5 senior most judges of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, accepting my petition, they issued the order of formation of independent and impartial JIT to investigate the Model Town incident. So, 2 months after this Supreme Court's order, the JIT was formed. First time after the Model Town massacre, this was the first time when an independent and impartial JIT was formed to investigate the matter. This was our concern, that this matter should be honestly, fairly, impartially, and independently investigated. So, investigation started. We provided all evidences and proofs, whatever we had, including the telephonic data, which we could receive regarding that night when the operation was taking place. The police officials who were killing the people, they were receiving the telephone calls from certain people, from certain persons. And they were sending the messages, so there were outgoing calls and incoming calls. All this data we provided to the joint investigation team.
So what,
And that whole telephonic data was verified by the State Departments.
are you now optimistic?
No, but very unfortunate thing which happened. When this JIT, Joint Investigation Team, concluded its investigation, so we declare whatever investigation comes out of this effort, the challan would be submitted to the court. Then we leave the matters to the court. This was our end of the struggle. Whatever courts decide, we will accept it. But when the JIT was about to submit the report to the court, where the case of Moral Town massacre was pending for hearing, all of a sudden that was suspended.
Now, at the end of last year, you launched a Quranic Encyclopedia, which you say consists of 8 volumes that have 5,000 topics discussed in them. At the launch of the Punjab Governor, Muhammad Sawa, formerly a member of the UK Parliament representing Glasgow, congratulated you on what he referred to as a massive piece of work, which delivers a great service to the people of Pakistan, humanity and Islam. He went on to say that by reading the encyclopedia, one will get a lot of facilitation in understanding of the meaning of the Holy Quran and the divine message based on love and peace, which should be spread around the world, adding that whosoever studies the Holy Quran with sincerity can neither go astray nor become an extremist. Now, do the words of the Governor of Punjab adequately sum up your objectives?
That's absolutely right. This Quranic Encyclopedia, which you have mentioned about, this is one of my works which you have already mentioned in your introduction. I would say out of my 551 published works, and these published works are out of my 1,000 works. 551 are the published works out of 1,000. And this is one of the major published works, that is the Quranic Encyclopedia, consisting of 8 volumes. And I have discussed, or you can say I have categorized the Quranic subjects and teachings and commandments into 5,000 topics and subjects.
Now, I understand it's currently in Urdu. The launch was an Urdu volume. That you have got plans to launch this in August in English.
Yes.
Is that correct?
In English. This was the Arabic and Urdu version, which was launched last year. And in 3rd of August, 2nd, 3rd and 4th of August, for 3 days, there would be an Al-Hidayah camp in Manchester. And the last day, I mean the 4th of August of this Al-Hidayah camp, would be the launching ceremony of Quranic Encyclopedia English version. That would be Arabic and English. And interestingly, next year, there's going to come another encyclopedia, and that is which I have compiled. That is Encyclopedia of Hadith and Sunnah. It consists of 40 volumes. And I have discussed 50,000 topics and subjects in Encyclopedia of Sunnah, which is ready for publishing next year, inshallah.
Well, I imagine there'd be quite a lot of people queuing up to
I
obtain.
have summarized the subjects of Quran according to the topics in a specific order, starting from the subjects of faith, existence of God, unity, significance of prophethood, the relevance of the messengership with the mankind and the human development, and all other important aspects which are the prominent articles of faith. Then coming to the acts of worship, including the prayer, the salat and the hajj, pilgrimage and zakat, the charity and the fasting. After that, coming to the social behaviors, how to develop peace in your inner self, how to become a moderate person, how to become a loving and caring person, how to bridge the distances between communities, between human beings, how to start loving one another, how to eliminate the hatred, how to eliminate the seeds of extremism, and how to eliminate the seeds of radicalized people and the terrorism, and how to bring out the peace for the mankind, how to create a culture of tolerance between one another. This is the beauty of Islam, and Islam wants this beautiful livelihood and this beautiful interaction between all human beings, irrespective of their faith, their creed, their race, their color.
Now, it's fair to say that as founder of the Minhaj al-Quran, you've pursued a mission of peace, as you say it, and have been attempting to address the growing levels of extremism internationally. In 2010, you published a weighty tract against terrorism. The following year, September 2011, you coordinated and addressed a major conference in London at the Wembley Arena.
Peace for Humanity conference.
Yes, exactly. The Peace for Humanity. 12,000 people attended it. You made reference to the 9/11 attacks as having, and I quote you, distorted perceptions of Islam over the past decade. You went on to say that in spite of statements and memorandums and condemnations of the terror, the voices of the 99% of true peace-loving Muslims have not yet been heard. They have been drowned out by the clamour of the noise of the extremists, you said. Islam, you said, has nothing to do with any act of terrorism. We reject every act of extremism and terrorism unconditionally. Now, since then, since that 2011, we've had the rise and fall, in some respects, of ISIS in Iraq and Syria. We've seen a series of brutal attacks on mainland Europe of innocent people in the name of Islam. Has your message of peace fallen on deaf ears?
My dear friend, my message of peace and my efforts of peace building and peace promoting and propagating the message of peace in every corner of the world is, by the grace of Almighty Allah, reached everywhere. But the reason is that I am working on a specific front, and that is an academic front, that is theological front, that is philosophical front. I am working to change the mindsets, to make the message, peaceful message of Quran, to make them reasonably understandable for the people, and to stop them from being accessible by the extremist ideology. And my work is confined to provide a counter narrative for the extremists, and to how to give the answer for the youth and to satisfy them on the moderate vision of Islam. So the question is that many factors, not only intellectual, socio, political, economic, regional, international factors are involved.
Now you talk.
So I am working on one side, but there are at the same time some other aspect which the states are required to work on those.
Now you talk
the
about
governments are required to work on those.
How serious do you regard the rise in power of overtly anti-Muslim political parties and anti-Muslim sentiment globally?
If the states do not fulfill their duty as states, beyond all divisions and beyond all discriminations, then the people who are living just to spread the hatred and to divide the mankind and to create the extremistic problems and to promote the human killings, they will be successful in their agendas. So we have to evaluate whether as societies and the states and the governments, are we fulfilling all our duties and responsibilities which we ought to be, which we are supposed to fulfill? I think there are some mistakes in our policies. We are not taking care of each and every aspect. And unless the states and all societies put their efforts together on one line.
So shall I take it that your message of peace, your message of changing the discourse and dialogue is addressed not only to Muslims across the world, but also to those political leaders?
To the political leaders across the world too. Yes.
On that note, Dr. Muhammad Tahir-ul-Qadri, I'm afraid we've run out of time. It's been a real pleasure and a great honour. Thank you very much for joining me on Islam Channel.
And thank you very much.